I vote for a Democrat or a Republican,
Republicans and independents voted for Biden.
If I claim I'm non-emotional,
come on, man. It's a nice podcast, but you gotta fucking deal in facts.
Joe, you can get up and leave. I'm totally fine with that. We'll open the door for you.
I may.
Patrick Bet David brought on Joe Walsh here, this guy that I would call woke, but other people would just call him a rhino. Regardless, they're the same thing. But anyways, things got heated here between Joe Walsh and Patrick Bet David here on the Value Trim YouTube channel and the PBD podcast. Let's get into this clip where Patrick David goes so hard against Joe Walsh and exposes so many of this guy's lies, man. And let's just call it what it is. This guy's woke, okay? He exposes so many of his, localized lies that Joe Walsh actually threatens to get up and leave the show. Now let's get into this clip once again where Patrick Bet David absolutely destroys this woke idiot once again.
I'm not a Democrat. You can call me a son of a bitch and a dishonest opportunist. I'm not a Democrat.
You said you are glad you voted for Biden, and you said you're happy you did.
Yeah.
So you've had a year and a half to assess that vote, and you're still happy about it.
I don't regret that vote.
Okay, so what do you think? What the situation today? The situation we're in today. Why are we in the situation we are today?
No, stop, my friend.
Exactly. Let's get emotional.
Listen.
Why are we in the situation we are today? Tell me.
I asked you a specific question.
Which is what?
Am I a Democrat?
Based on what you're saying that you don't regret your vote, of course you're a Democrat.
That makes me a Democrat, even though I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a registered Democrat.
Because you supported policies of a Democrat.
Pat,
if I vote for a Democrat or a Republican,
Republicans and independents voted for Biden.
If I claim I'm non-emotional,
come on, man. It's a nice podcast, but you gotta fucking deal in facts.
If I claim I'm non-emotional, which you're saying you're not, okay.
Pat,
if I claim I'm not, what part of your vote today?
Did independents vote for Biden in 2020?
What part of your vote today?
He just doesn't listen.
Because
look, you might not be a Democrat. Technically, this guy's registered as a Democratic voter. He's playing these mental gymnastics that, all woke people play when they're trying to wiggle out of certain arguments and having certain discussions by, saying, well, I'm not a registered Democrat, so I can't be a Democrat. You idiot. You voted Democrat. You voted for Joe Biden, okay? Okay, sure, he's not a Democrat. You're still part of the cult if you voted for Joe Biden, and you're not willing to admit that Joe Biden ran the country into the ground. You're part of the cult. You are an idiot. Whatever word you want to describe it, we may not be able to call you a Democrat. Okay, listen, I'm not going to call him a Democrat because it offends him. Worse than being called an idiot. Let's just call him a freaking a woke idiot then. I don't know, call a spade a spade. Maybe he's not a Democrat, and that's the absolute worst thing you can be called. Let's call him what he is, an woke idiot. He shouldn't have, whatever he is, he shouldn't have a platform. And why does anybody care who this guy voted for? Let's get back into it.
How much longer is this, guys?
You haven't answered.
I'm having a ball.
You haven't answered my question yet.
No, I'm sitting 5 feet from you.
I get that, 3 feet.
Listen,
so what?
3 feet.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you to your face, I am not a registered Democrat.
What part of the policies you voted for are you happy with today?
I'm not happy with. Let me finish a thought.
I want to hear it. Policies.
As I've said before, I'm not happy with the vast majority of policies Biden has done.
Yeah.
I'm not a Democrat. I don't regret my vote.
Yeah.
Plenty of.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Independents and Republicans voted for Biden too, Pat. They're not Democrats. Maybe they regret their vote, but they're not Democrats.
But that's a difference, though.
No, you called me a Democrat.
No, that's a different, though. You supported.
You know what? You're un-American.
You supported Democratic
policy. You're un-American.
You can't say that. Why would you say that?
It's your opinion.
Because he's calling. No, exactly.
It's your opinion.
How stupid, Adam, is it for me to say that?
But if you can,
if
you can validate the point,
but Pat sits there and says, "I'm a Democrat."
But if you validate the point, I'll take it.
I love you, man, and this isn't emotional.
If you validate the point, say it.
But there's no point.
Well, Pat,
then tell me your policies.
There's no point.
What policies you voted for? What policies you?
Dude, this guy, he's saying, "I'm not emotional. I'm not emotional. I'm not a Democrat," and I'm gonna leave the show, and he's gonna get up and leave the show because he's so unemotional. Yet he's so sure he's not a Democrat that he has to get up and leave the show instead of having a discussion with Patrick Bet David, who was just asking him clear, concise questions, and he's just saying, Pat, I'm not a Democrat, dude. Shut up and listen to the question and answer the question, man. It can't be that hard. I don't understand, and he just gets so emotional, and I wish. He just admit it and say, oh, I'm emotional and I'm leaving now. It's just embarrassing to watch. But, it's good that Patrick Bet David does this, man, because there's not many other podcasts that do this. And I love Tim Pool and what they do over there at Timcast. But whenever they bring on people from the opposite side, that's not a Democrat, you know, sorry, he's not a Democrat, right? He's the opposition, right? Joe Walsh is the opposition here. And if he goes on Timcast, they like try their best to be cordial or whatever with that, and it's just a different way of doing things. But I like how Patrick Bet-David brings all these guys on, like Joe Walsh and Anthony Weiner and these sorts of people, and just straight up calls them out, you know, from the jump. And he's like, here's why you're completely wrong. Explain this, why you do this, and why you do the things that you do, and why you believe the way that you want to, and, you know, do you regret this? Most of the time they answer no. You know, Anthony Weiner and Joe Watt, the same thing. They won't answer the question. They just get emotionally. They start yelling, and it just becomes a total shit show, man. It's just sad to see.
Pat,
are you happy for the vote?
Pat?
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you a damn thing if you continue to call me a Democrat.
Then tell me what policies you don't support.
No.
Then tell me what policies you don't.
I'm not.
Then
I'm a Democrat.
Because tell me the policies.
Hey, Tyler, how much longer?
Tell me the policies.
Okay.
Joe, you can get up and leave. I'm totally fine with that. We'll open the door for you.
I may, and it's
you do,
Joe. You're going to be fine.
No,
you're going to stay there. You're good.
No. I'm totally okay with that. If you,
this is not emotional.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
So then give me a logical answer.
I'm not a no. But stop for a minute.
Yeah, you said it's not emotional.
I left the Republican Party 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I did not join the Democratic Party. I am an independent right now. Mm-hmm. So do not call me a Democrat.
But tell me what policies you supported that today are working, of Biden's policies.
I'd have a hard time picking. I can give you one.
Sure.
I'm glad Biden got us out of Afghanistan. I'm glad. I'll give you two. I like the simple.
This guy, dude, I understand that we all know Biden's presidency was an absolute disaster, but the fact that this guy, who's a Joe Biden voter, was asked by Patrick Bet-David, what are the policies that you love so much from Joe Biden? And his response was that, I love that we pulled out of Afghanistan. One of the most embarrassing days or couple of days in American history was the way we pulled out of Afghanistan. So, you know, if that's the only thing you can bring up, and he's going to say, I'm not talking about the way that we get out, I'm talking about the fact that we got out. But if there was a better option to choose that wasn't massively embarrassing to the United States, he would have chosen that. One problem is that there is none. There's no option. So that's why, you know, to just sit there and admit, yeah, my bad. I shouldn't have voted for him. It was a mistake. My bad. But why not just do it? You know, it'd be such a more pleasant conversation for you and the listeners if he just said that. But he can't. None of them ever can. And that's actually so embarrassing. It's unbelievable that this guy was asked by Patrick Bet-David, what is one policy that you agree with from Joe Biden? He says the most embarrassing day, or one of the most embarrassing days in American history. And it was just really bad. And it's just the one that he brings up. It's just sad to see, man. Let's get back into it.
Infrastructure bill, that of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that Biden signed into law. Those are two that I approve. The vast majority of things Biden did, I don't support.
So you support the way we left Afghanistan?
Absolutely. I support us getting out of Afghanistan.
Let's clarify that. Do you support us getting out, or you support the way we left?
I'll answer that. I supported us getting out.
Because that started under Trump and the Doha agreements.
Hey, my friend. Yeah, that was a promise of Trump's that I supported. And I'm glad Biden got it done. And I believe that any way we would have gotten out of Afghanistan was going to be ugly and messy, and it was. But I respect Biden for having the balls for doing it.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch.
Jeez, bro. Like that was just absolutely brutal. But once again, man, you got to give credit to Patrick Bet-David. He really does bring these little people in and holds their feet to the fire, and you got to respect it, because basically every single time they fold. And this is why they don't leave their echo chamber. This is why they like to watch people like Destiny and Hassan Piker and David Pacman and these sorts of people, because they like to just be cozy and comfy in their little echo chamber where they don't have to have their ideas challenged. But that's what happens when their ideas are challenged. And even the thing that Joe Walsh brought up, Patrick Bet-David there, about Joe Biden leaving Afghanistan, I shouldn't even know that, and it might be embarrassing for me to know, but the fact that this is his positive thing, and we all know how much of a disaster, you know, leaving Afghanistan was. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below on all this ridiculous shit, but I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.